When Fractal dropped the Terra ITX case, I made it a mission to build something inside of it. I just wanted it on my desk so that I could look at it every day and just admire the incredible craftsmanship that went into building this case. Oh, and also game on it as well. Now, Dimitri did a fantastic video going over all the details that you need to know about the Terra, so be sure to check it out. I'll leave a link right over here. But in this video, I just want to share my experience building with the Terra. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee or tea, and come along for the ride. By the way, huge thanks to Crucial for making this build possible. Their DDR5 Pro series are some of the only few modules on the market that are low profile enough that I could maximize my CPU cooling performance with a bigger heatsink without negatively impacting GPU size. Now, before I get into the parts that I chose, I need to mention that the Terra has its own set of limitations when it comes to hardware configurations. You can't really go balls to the wall with the fastest CPU and the fastest GPU and cram it inside this 11-liter chassis. Compatibility check is one of the most important factors of the Terra, and I spent days trying to find the right components and combinations that can actually fit inside this case. With GPUs getting bigger and CPUs drawing too much power, I just wanted something that's a happy medium between performance and efficiency. Plus, I also wanted a minimal looking small form factor PC that didn't look too gamery. Now for the color of the case, I was seriously debating between either silver or jade because both of those colors look absolutely gorgeous. I also like the matte and the wood trim combination as well, but between both of those, I decided to go with silver because, you know, it's a really nice color option and I think the components going inside will blend really well with the case. But yeah, this is a beautiful case, guys. I honestly just can't take my eyes off of it because I just love the minimalistic look and just the design aesthetics that Fractal has incorporated with the Terra. I especially love the wood trim around the front I/O, which just looks awesome and it complements really well with the silver chassis. If you're looking for the ultimate minimalistic ITX case that's built exceptionally well, this is it. So what's going inside this case? Well, for the CPU, I chose Intel's Core i7-13700K. It's got all the bells and whistles for my gaming and creator-focused tasks since it features 16 cores and 24 threads, and I've been meaning to learn some motion VFX during my downtime and also get into streaming, so this should fit the bill. Now, housing the 13700K is the Asus ROG Z790i gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. This thing is packed with features, guys. It's got two M.2 slots, one of which can support a Gen 5 SSD. I love the black aesthetics of this board, plus given its limited I/O, Asus included an external connectivity dock called the Strix Hive, which essentially gives you control over volume, audio outputs, a few more Gen 2 Type A and Type C ports, a programmable hotkey, and a BIOS flashback button. Pretty cool in my opinion. They also include an FPS2 card. I mean, I have no idea why they call it that way, but it essentially houses two USB 2.0 headers, front panel connectors, temperature sensors, and SATA ports. It's mounted vertically on the motherboard and it's supposed to help with cable management, especially if you're working within tighter environments inside an ITX case. This board also has support for Wi-Fi 6E, which eliminates the need for me to just go and fetch around for external Wi-Fi adapters. Now, to cool the Core i7 CPU, I decided to pick up a few options. The first one being the Thermalright AXP90 X53 cooler in white, and the other being the Scythe Big Shuriken 3. Now on paper, the Scythe cooler should keep temperatures under control for the processor. And given its low profile nature with its 67mm of high clearance, it should fit inside the Terra, but on the other hand, it doesn't give us a lot of room for the GPU. The Thermalright cooler looks aesthetically awesome and it should fit the Terra, but I ultimately decided to go with the Shuriken 3 since the DDR5 Pro modules allowed me to use a quieter and cooler option. Now, given this robust cooling setup, I had to scout around for some low-profile memory, and thankfully, Crucial was kind enough to support us on this project by sending us their Crucial Pro DDR5 memory modules. Now, this is a 32GB kit running at 5600 MHz, and it's got a really sleek design with a matte black aluminum low-profile heatsink that complements the ROG motherboard really well. Plus, there's plenty of clearance for the big Shuriken 3 cooler. It's a match made in heaven, guys. Not to mention, these are powered by Micron's DRAM components, ensuring great quality and reliability. For storage, Crucial also hooked us up with their T700 Gen 5 NVMe SSDs. Now, they come in two flavors, one with a heatsink and one without. I chose the non-heatsink version since the ROG motherboard comes with one pre-installed. These drives are blistering fast, capable of delivering up to 12.4 GB per second on sequential read and write speeds. Now that's twice the performance of a Gen 4 SSD, and they're available up to 4 terabytes, which is what I have over here. So plenty of space for my applications and games. Now, powering this entire build is the Extreme 850R from Silverstone. This is their 80+ platinum certified power supply that's fully modular, so that should help with cable management, and its SFX form factor should help with the installation process. It does come with a Gen 5 12-volt PCI connector for NVIDIA's RTX 40 series GPUs that require it, and since we're going to SFX, I won't be needing too many cables. All I need is one for the motherboard, one for the CPU, and one for the graphics card, which is the standard 8-pin connector. Speaking of which, what GPU did I go with? Well, like I mentioned earlier, the Terra case is very limited in terms of compatibility, and most of the high-end GPUs on the market, like the 4090 and 4080 cards, are triple slots or even bigger, which just won't fit the case. I did find the ProArt RTX 4080 from Asus that looks pretty sleek, and it actually technically fits inside the Terra, but I wanted a statement piece, something that would complement the silver color of the case. And so I chose the RTX 4070 Dual Series in white from Asus. It's not the fastest GPU on the market, but remember, that's not what I'm aiming for. I just wanted something that I can play Overwatch and Forza at 1440p at over 240 frames per second. Plus, this is a 2.5 slot GPU, which is the perfect fit for the Terra case, considering the limited space left due to the CPU cooler, because the Shuriken 3 takes about 67mm, so we're left with roughly 53mm to accommodate the GPU, and fortunately the RTX 4070 is about 51mm, which just gives us the perfect balance of CPU and GPU compatibility. I also love the design accents thrown into the exterior shroud, and it takes the standard 8-pin power connector, so that's convenient. So yeah, those are all the parts going inside the Terra case. Let's put it together. This is probably one of the best looking PCs that I've ever built, guys. But then again, there isn't a whole lot to see here, since given its ITX form factor, you really can't see what's inside until you open these side panels and appreciate the work that you put inside. So if you're looking for a showcase piece to show off all the hardware inside, well, the Terra might not be the right fit. That being said, the 4070 White Edition in particular adds a visually appealing element to the silver colored chassis, and I'm glad that I didn't go with any other RGB components that just would take away from the core beauty of the Terra case. I love stuff that's minimal, and I'm actually planning to build a setup around that, so this is just a great start. Now, did I make mistakes? Absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of building PCs. You learn from them, and then in some cases, you could even solve the issues that might come up during the process. Now, with this particular build, I did have to readjust the spine of the case to accommodate the cooler comfortably. Then I had to uninstall the power supply to plug in the power cables, since they're actually facing downwards, and it was just difficult to reach them. And then I realized that I had no room to plug in the CPU power cable, so I had to remove the CPU cooler, route the cable, plug it in, and then reinstall the cooler back. And then there was some last-minute cable management business that I had to take care of. Once that was settled, I realized just how close the GPU was to the side panel. It's like 2mm away from making contact. So that was a close call, and I'm glad it worked out. The stock power cables that came with the PSU were really hard to manage. I really wish I got custom sleeves that are just the right length for this build. I might phone a friend for some tips on that, plus it'll probably allow me to add a small 120mm fan at the bottom for additional intake, but we'll see how that plays out. For now, I'm really happy with the end result, guys, and I actually ran some tests to make sure that the CPU and the GPU were not choking. So I ran Overwatch for about 30 minutes, and the CPU averaged around 56 degrees Celsius while maintaining average clock speeds around 4.17 gigahertz, and the GPU averaged around 51.8 degrees Celsius while maintaining clock speeds around 2.5 gigahertz. That's a bit higher than NVIDIA's reference spec, but that does add up since this is a pre-overclocked card from ASUS. And it's also really quiet under load as well, guys. Here, take a listen. Finally, the T700 Pro Gen 5 SSD from Crucial benchmarked exactly around 12.4 gigabytes per second. It's just incredible to see this kind of throughput from an NVMe SSD, and the fact that I've got 4 terabytes makes it even better. So there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there are any other components that you think might have been a better fit for the Terra, feel free to chime in the comments down below. If you have built a PC with the Terra, feel free to send us some photos of the build over to our Twitter and Instagram channels. I'm excited to see what you guys have created. It doesn't have to be a Terra case, it can be some other ITX case. I just love anything that's ITX, but obviously the complexity makes it even more challenging and fun. On that note, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Oh, and spend responsibly.